Hi, and welcome to Buck's Midweek Show, the show that Buck does sometime in the midweek, usually in the middle of it. My name is Buck, as you could tell by having Buck's Midweek Show, and probably because you've been watching this channel. Anyways, enough with the ridiculous openings. Today's topic is coins. And I know what you're thinking, boy, am I excited for that topic. But there's a bright side. The bright side is I have visuals today. This is one of my books. And us coin collectors like to use these books to house a collection of each individual little coin. Now, the importance of the coin collecting isn't anything remotely to do with what it is that I do, having graded examples of different coins, and or as it is for some people to have the investment of it. It's more, to me, about the appreciation of history. Look, you can get a coin from 200 years ago for a couple bucks. Okay. A little bit of an exaggeration. More like 20, 30. And you think, okay, but what good is that going to do me? Well, having the feeling of holding something in your hand that you know was used by people during the earliest days of our country, during the Civil War, during the War of 1812. There's some people who collect some of the continental currencies from us, and there's people who collect ancient currencies from throughout the world. So that goes to a whole different level than my plain old American collection. And feeling a connection to history is important to me. I feel like understanding the human condition in times past and understanding the way people have interacted with each other historically gives us a greater sense of perspective as to how our society works today. And as such, I feel like I've been able to gather all the different ideas that I've coalesced into a vague political theory. But ultimately, it's about just appreciating how much we've gone through as people in the world. And so from that, I go back to my own collection and I see, the last 200 years, knowing that these coins were touched by people who had these lives which would be crazy to us and which had beliefs which were so radically different. And, it makes you really just think about it. My position on that sort of thing in terms of having the historical perspective about people's ideas is that it's just so important to be able to have a idea of what is original right now and what is the arc of history, the continuation of it, and going forward, what it is you can expect to happen, what is it you can do to improve things like that. So I guess this video has morphed a bit from my coin collection to history and the appreciation of it, but the two to me are one and the same. And I could go through what makes coins so interesting. Like today, it's mostly presidents or other famous people on coins, and you get a bit of a sense of what's important. Most of the presidents that are popular throughout history have been wartime presidents, and that's reflected on the coinage. But you also have things like Thomas Jefferson. He is probably our most famous non-wartime president. And just through the force of ideas that created the country that he had. And so, having a perspective like that from just studying the coins lets you know, like, yeah, we have this very military culture that makes us want these presidents, but there is still at least, that underpinning of society that we had built out of these democratic freedoms that is really what should be more stressed than these wartime presidents who had their greatness thrust upon them. So, you go back through the history of the coins, and there weren't famous people on them. It was representations of liberty and of national pride. Not that I, much care for national pride. I think it's a bit of tribalism gone too far. But, the ideas of freedom and liberty were much more important than the people who ran the country at that point in our history up until about 100 years ago. I mean, certainly people knew of the four founding fathers and Abe Lincoln, things like that. But the idea of America was a greater part of daily life in really trying to provide, as great of a foundation of freedom as possible. And that is my message for today, as sort of out of rhythm and convoluted as it was. So, if you like this show, good. And if you don't, you can talk to my tanuki. Good night.